Hi everyone, welcome back to Outdoor Adventurecraft. So this is the first in my winter expedition series, and basically I'm just setting up the video that follows, and that's where we put the coyote snares out Friday morning. This was before we got camp set up, and the first thing we wanted to do was get some coyote snares out, get the lure out so that we could have them working for us throughout the course of the weekend. So thanks for joining me here on Outdoor Adventurecraft, and I hope you enjoy the following video. So we got a real nice run of tracks coming in right along the side of this tree here. So I think we'll set up a snare right here. But I just want to show you guys a little technique for dealing with human scent when you're about to handle your snares. Any softwood resinous tree like cedar or spruce or fir, pine, just get yourself a handful of the tips and just rub that resin onto your hands. Immediately you smell like the forest. Just kind of covers up that human smell. If you can avoid washing your hands with strong scented soaps and stuff the day you're planning on going out, you know, that's good too. But that right there will help you deal with a lot of the scent when you're tying your snares. So yeah, so where we're setting our traps, we're about 5 kilometers from the tent site. And just up the road from my house, down a dirt road, there's a mink farm. And I got permission from the managers of the mink farm to trap around the area because they have a coyote problem. They got a lot of feed that they put into their minks, and the occasional, not all the time, but they get the occasional escape mink. And so the coyotes see this as a real hot spot. There's a lot of available food, a lot of available prey, so the coyotes are here in number, which is why we're seeing the amount of tracks that we are. Okay, so you've seen us in the area here in this thicket of birch and fir and spruce, and we're setting up snares. I've got 4 down, and I want to show you guys through the process of setting up a coyote snare. Now these are pre-tied braided wire snares, and I'm using a utility 16 gauge farm wire to attach them to the trees. So this thicket is littered with tracks. There's a run going out through here to the left of the camera. There's a few tracks going by in front of this tree, and we're going to tie one on here. And the rule of thumb is always tie high. Now you want the coyote to go into the snare, and you want to set your snare about 10 inches off the ground with a 10-inch loop. But here's the thing, if you tie your wire down here, when the coyote stretches out, imagine him with the wire around his neck, and he stretches out to the end of it trying to get away. When he turns his head, the wire is going to be right in his mouth if you tie it at the same height, and he'll be able to chew through the wire. If you tie high, when he turns back, the wire's leading off at an angle. He won't be able to get it in his mouth because it'll be coming back up over his ear. So you want to tie up high on the tree and then leave enough wire to position your snare. That way when the wire snaps out, it's leading up to the tie point, not flat to the tree where he finds it in his jaw. Okay? So take your farm wire. Again, this is 16 gauge. And for a tree this big here, I'm going to want lots of slack. So I'm going to probably do 2 runs of about 5 feet or so. That should do there, two arm lengths. multi-tool. I got some pliers and cutters in there too. Now, bring the two ends of your wire together. Watch your eyes. I find this stuff tends to whip around. Bring the two ends together like that, and then find yourself the middle point, because you're going to use this bend with your braided snare. Now, I boil my snares the night before with a tablespoon of baking soda to get the scent off them, and it also takes the shine off the braided wire. And then I put them in a scent-free bag with some spruce tips to keep a nice natural scent on them. And as you saw earlier, I get my hands rubbed in on a fir tree or a cedar tree, get that smell. So now take that loop that you've got on the end of the wire, put it over or under, it doesn't matter. If you put it over, then you're going to come back up through the loop with your ends from the bottom. If you put it under, then you're going to go down through the top. So it's under, over, or over, under, don't matter. I typically come in with the over the top like that. So what I'll do is I'll bring my ends now down through. And basically what you're creating is a box knot or a square knot with the two ends. Watch your eyes, the wire's flailing all over the place. There. And what you get when you pull that through is a perfect square knot with your two ends going back. Okay, so like I mentioned a second ago, let's poke these back down in the bag here. We want to set the snare about 10 inches off the game trail. So they were tracking through here. And with a coyote, we want a 10-inch loop, 10 inches off the ground. If you're trapping fox, you want a 7 or an 8-inch loop, 7 or 8 inches off the ground. We're going to tip it back so that the snare is in an open position. If it's tipped too far forward, the snare is going to want to shut itself. So we want to bend the utility wire back so that the snare is in an open position. We're going to fine tune it afterwards. Hold it in over the trail so that you get it about where you want it. Remembering we're going to tie high, about 10 inches off the ground there. So leave yourself a little extra slack. Bring your utility wire around the tree. And I find it's important not to just wrap one wire around a straight piece, but to bring the two wires 180 degrees apart from each other and twist one around the other. You get a lot more friction on the wire that way. So each time I make a wrap, I pull them out from each other and rotate them. So just keep doing that for a bit. Keeping both wires perpendicular from each other. The more wire you have contact in the other wire, the more friction, the tighter the knot, the less likely anything's going to get away. I got about 2-3 inches of wrap there, and I can just take the excess, loop it back over. And it's important to take the end of your wire, put a little bend in it in case anything tries to come loose. It'll catch in itself. So now I've got the length I need. Bring that in against the tree close. Get my snare ready to position. Of course, messing around with it's got it all full of snow and stuff. Get that out of there so it doesn't freeze and lock your snare open. Get the snare open. Get it bent. Get it kind of roughly in place. Now you're going to want to fine tune it. Kind of want to prime the snare. Now if it's tilted back too much, it takes quite a lot of pull to bring the snare closed. If it's tilted down too much, it shuts itself. I didn't even have to touch it. So what you want to do, you want to get your snare open and you want to get it primed in such a way, just bend the farm wire. Now there, something like that there, it's ready to start sliding down. You could probably prime it a little tighter. It's not sliding down on its own, and you don't want wind or anything to close it either. So if you think you've got her, give her a little tap. It should slide a tiny bit, but it shouldn't shut. And it did. It slid about 3/4 of an inch. So that means it's ready to shut, but it's not going to close just because a stiff wind hits it. Now I just want to make sure my position's right. The snare's fully open. It's a little close to the ground. Bend her up. And that's all you can do. It's ready, it's in place. There's a game trail underneath it, and we're going to be putting some lure over here in a bit. Hopefully the coyotes come in for it. So we tied about half the snares out, and Joel realized there's an easier way to do it. Now I tied a bait station in behind my house, and I did it just like I showed you guys. I was putting the loop in through the knot, and I was going to the other end and bringing it through. Real pain in the neck is what it was. Take the loop on the end of the snare, on the braided snare, take the loop you made on the wire, feed it through, go back a couple inches, and then just bring your snare, the short end instead of the big tough strong end. This is very flexible and a lot safer to work with because it's blunt. Just shove it through your bend. So much easier than the way we were doing it. And again, you know, it comes from just tying with the wire. I mean, this is just my second bait station I've ever set up, so it's really about learning and finding out what wasn't working, what was slowing you down, and what can work better. So yeah, make your life easier, not harder. Hi everyone. Okay, so we've been working here for 2 hours. Got 19 snares out, did a little filming for you guys, showed you just how we're setting up the Coyote snares here today. Now that all the snares are out, I'm going to put my lure out. Now what I've got for a lure here today is a coyote lure by Forget Lures. They're out of Charette, Quebec, Canada. And I got this from Long Creek Trap and Supply in Majorville, New Brunswick. They're just outside of Fredericton. You can find them online. They're Long Creek Trap and Supply. Long Creek Trap and Supply. A real good guy there. Steve helped me out pick out this lure, and this is a K9 lure. Now what we're going to do with this, I've got myself a little Tupperware here that I've drilled vent holes. I put 5 vent holes on each side, and I've got a piece of paper towel on the bottom to act as a wick. So I'm going to tie it as far up in this tree as I can, and this lure, I've got it in a sandwich bag. It's got a seal on it, a cover on it, and I can still smell it. It is strong stuff. So I'm going to get my container ready before I open it up, and then we're going to get the crap out of here because it's really strong. So anyway, I got a piece of wire cut off. I'm just going to run it through the center of my little lure can here. Might as well get the ends about the same. Square it off a bit so it doesn't rock around in there too much. That way once I get it up, it's kind of hanging. Yeah, that looks like it should work. Something like that once I get it up in the tree. Give it a little twist. Alright, I'm going to feed her around that branch up there and get it ready to hoist. And then I'll put the lure in it and we'll get moving. The thing about a lure, I think anyway, like I said, I lack a lot of experience, but the thing about a lure versus a bait, if you've got like a carcass or something hanging around, the coyote are pretty smart, and they're liable to think, well, what killed that thing there? Like, you know, there must be something sketchy going on here, and they may stay away because they're afraid something's going to hurt them because something else died. They're going to think, what's going on here that's killing things, right? They've seen their members of their pack get caught in snares before. They may have been hunted over bait before. They've seen when they come near a carcass that maybe humans are watching. So they can be, from what I've learned from other trappers, they can be a bit wary of bait. Now other trappers will tell you that you can trap over bait no problem. But it does make sense though that a lure may be your safest bet, especially as a beginner. So yeah, as I mentioned, I got this from Long Creek Trap and Supplies. It cost me about $13. Stinks like crazy. Smells like a skunk mixed up with a coyote, mixed up with a fine perfume. Might go good with red, I would say. But anyway, yeah, I'd I'd want to get her in there and get out of here pretty quick, because I'd hate to have smell like this for the rest of my life. But it's a 2-ounce bottle, and like I say, once this is opened, I'm really not going to have much use for the rest of it. So I'm going to take and pour this whole bottle in there. I'm going to put it back in the sandwich bag from whence it came and throw her in the trapping bucket, and that'll be it for it. And shake it up. Again, I don't really want this crap on me. There's some fat in there mixed up with it. Cover in the bag. The paper towel that I put up in there will act like a wick. It'll evaporate out through it. The lure's in. That stuff is strong. Man, there are going to be dogs coming from all over. I got a little cover just to keep rain from going down in it and diluting it. So I'll just snap my cover in place. And then grab my wires. Oh, I got some on me. Oh God. We'll tie it off on this here. Oh, I'm gonna smell like that all weekend. Now the idea is, since it's not on the ground, it's gonna pollute the whole area with scent. And they're going to come from miles around, because that's going to be wafting around in the wind, and the coyotes should come a courting. So we'll be back here to this site Monday night. We're going to leave it now. Like I say, we got the human scent off our hands by rubbing in the fur pitch and stuff like that. We've got a design coyote lure tied up in the tree here. We got 19 snares out. So we're going to head into the site, we're going to get the tent set up, and we're going to get the rest of the weekend underway. So I look forward to seeing you back here at this lure station on Monday night. So there you have it, guys. That was our session of Friday afternoon, late morning afternoon, where we set out the coyote snares. Now that was the second bait station I'd set out since just getting my trapping certification the following summer. So it was a quick learning curve, really, working with the wire, finding out what worked best, and getting that lure out was kind of funny. I'm really glad I didn't actually spill any on me. It just kind of spilled down in front of me there and hit the ground, because my truck still smells like that lure just from having the empty bottle of it sitting in the back of the box. So guys, thanks for joining me here today on Outdoor Adventurecraft and watching this first video in my winter expedition series. Join me on the next one. You can check me out in the meantime on Instagram and Facebook. And as always, check my website out at www.outdooradventurecraft.com. And we'll see you on the next one.